Alright, and picking up right where we left off a little while ago with the previous video, this next video is going to focus on updating the base Ubuntu system that we installed and placing Cacti on the box and doing some configuration around that. So first things first, let's get the box updated. And then we'll take that update and upgrade any outdated packages. Just will take a few minutes. Alright, next we're going to install the SNMP. This will allow us to query the box itself for things like partition utilization and eventually, if you want to, some MySQL. And we're going to do some editing of that SNMP as well. So we do want to comment out this line right here, which tells it to listen on the individual address, and uncomment the line that says listen to everything. So the next thing that we want to do is uncomment this line here, and you would simply add your secret key here, and I'll change that secret key later. But you'll want to update a subnet or IP range or all the RFC 1918s if you want, whatever works for your network. A little bit lower, you can set up the location and contact here to whatever you would like. When you're done, go ahead and write and quit that, and we'll restart the SNMP process. Alright, so how we're going to do the Cacti is going to kind of cheat a little bit. We're going to install Cacti and Cacti Spine through the apt-get repositories, which will pull in all the prerequisites. And then once we're done with that, we'll go through the process of patching it to the version 0.8.8a, as well as patching Cacti Spine. So we'll go ahead and kick off that installation there. Cacti and Cacti Spine, and This will take a few minutes to actually pull down here. Alright, and there will be some interaction that we'll have with this cacti. This first prompt here is for MySQL, and it's asking us to identify the root user's password, and then confirming it. And just a little warning, we do want to install Apache 2 as the web server. That way the installation script can install Apache 2 and configure it accordingly. We'll get another prompt here momentarily to set up the Cacti username that is created with the standard Ubuntu repositories here. So, thing to keep in mind, which seems to hang up a lot of folks from looking at the Cacti forums and going through the process, the Ubuntu repositories uses Cacti as the database username, where all the programming uses Cacti user as the default username. So this is asking for the root password to the database to get access. And then this is us setting the application user for Cacti versus Cacti user. Set that however you would like. So that can cause some hangups for you with the configuration files from switching it from Cacti user down to Cacti. Now that we have that base Cacti done, and the LAMP server also came in as well, we're going to pull in a few extra nice tools that I like to install. We'll just include that in this video. The first one is the PHP MyAdmin. And this allows for web-based administration of the MySQL. So similar to the Cacti installation, it's going to ask us if we want to configure, and then it's going to ask us for the root password. And this is the application password for my PHP MyAdmin. And again, we installed Apache 2, so we'll want to reconfigure Apache 2. As that wraps up here, we will want to go out to the web to pull some updated links and instructions for the webmin. And just because they have some nice copy and paste here, to pull the webmin down. The webmin allows us to monitor Linux-based servers from a web page. And this will fail on the base Ubuntu, so it wants some dependencies here. Fortunately, Webmin folks knew that, so they gave you some additional code to run, some additional text to run. And it does want us to fix that. And when we fix that, it will go ahead and install everything that's been queued up through the install. And that'll wrap up the Webmin installation. So while that's wrapping up, we're going to go ahead and secure FTP these systems up here. We did install the OpenSSH, so we can just quick connect to that, and we will dump these over to the folder. Let's connect. As you can see, we have those. We do not need Webmin anymore, so we can delete that. We want to tar those guys. So now we have the two folders there. So a nice thing about the way the Cacti actually installs is it's literally taking that information and copying it over your existing directory, at least when we're doing a fresh install like this. So first off is the Cacti, and what we'll want to do is change directories to the Cacti directory. And you'll see that we have a site directory, and that's where all the information for Cacti sits. So we're going to go ahead and move site to site.old. So we have our backup. So now we can move the Cacti folder there to site here. Keep in mind we do have some things that we'll want to update, and that is for the MySQL and the Cacti. So we're going to go to the include folder, and we're going to modify the config. And I just set a base username and password. I kept it with their defaults for the example here. So Cacti with Cacti user matches up, so that should be good to go now. And at this point, let's go ahead and compile the spine. So I do know that there will be some dependencies that we'll need to get. So try to pull those down, and there is installation guide on Cacti's site for this. We'll pull those down. And I'm going to pause it just for a second because I need to track down that net SNMP. Alright, found it. So it's lib snmp-dev is the one that we want. So we'll go ahead and give that an install here. That will complete the prerequisites for the spine, compiling spine. And I have a feeling we'll need to go out and get some repositories when we try to compile it here. But cross that bridge here right now. For example, I don't think I have GCC installed by default. So it looked like configure worked okay. So yeah, install make there. Just a moment here while I read that. Alright, and that did install correctly, so just looking to make sure there were no errors around GCC or anything like that while it compiled. So at this point we need to move two files. We're going to move spine and then the spine.conf here, and we're going to place those into a the user local directory here. So first things first, though, we do have to modify the spine.conf. So because it has database information, actually it's where we'll place it in user sbin. And trying to think if we need that in a Cacti directory, even though the spine just references it there. I think we should be good. All right. So at that point we do have spine compiled and moved over. So we'll go ahead and open the web page and browse to the Cacti box there. And there we go, which is good. That detected the initial connection to the SQL database. If you missed the SQL database entry, you will have a SQL error that will display at the top of this page, but we did catch that, so we're good. And we're doing a new install, and it looks like everything is okay. If you wanted to modify the log file, as I do want to, you can do that here if you would like, and set it accordingly, and we'll finish. Admin to log in the first time, forces a password change, and we'll want to set up a few new things here. So we do want to populate the spine path, which is where we moved that to, which is that directory right there. And I like to structure my RRA, which reminds me we do have to update the permissions for the RRA because in the base Ubuntu repositories they put the RRAs in a different path, where when we did the upgrade to version 8.8, it puts it inside of the Cacti directory itself. So with that being said, this is where the path needs to be, and as you can see, we have some additional permissions. We're local admin because that's what I'm logged in as, where we should be root. And when we go into site, we need to have the www-media as the group for RRA. And what's nice about having that site-old, so when you start to get tired like I am, you can go back and reference that. And there is no... So we'll use the web admin here, the webmin. Show you guys that. So system users and groups, www data, what was I typing in before? Media. So clearly wrong. We're good to go with that. So the other thing that we do want to look at doing in here is changing the cron job, which this is kind of nice because right now we're running as www data, and that doesn't necessarily have permissions to access all the needed information, so we'll just switch that over to root. Alternatively, you can go and change that around or create a new user such as Cacti user and give the Cacti user appropriate rights to the files, for specifically the spine files. So we'll save and run that now. So we'll return. That should be good. So we'll save that. We do want to switch the polar to every minute. Cron can be left at 5. That's fine. I like to set ICMP ping, and we also want the spine because we went through the installation there. In most cases, you can probably get away with a command, but the spine is a little bit quicker, so we'll run with that. And whenever you change the polar interval, you do have to repopulate the polar cache. That's done in System Utilities and rebuild polar cache. So we'll go into Devices. I like to delete this initial device and all of its graphs. Let's add a new device. Get that added here. And if you recall, we kept this to secret, and it was version 2. Let's go ahead and create. Let's verify that I did have that as secret. I did. So that should be okay. go. So now we can go ahead and add some basic SNMP get mounted partitions. And you can certainly create different host templates to automatically populate that. Save that for another day. And let's go ahead and make some graphs. So at this point I'm going to pause it as it can take a few minutes for the graphs to populate. Alright, so we do have successful graphs here. So I did have to make a change to a couple of files using our webmin utility here. But first off, I'll show you the files. So as you can see, we do have successful files. You can turn on the graph debug mode to see details, and if you're having issues here, it'll let you know right there. But as you can see, we are doing okay with our space here, and the other graph would be graphing okay as well. So what I had to do on the webmin is I ended up continuing to run the cron job as www-data as it was originally configured, and I did have to change the group of www data on the RRA folder as well as the two spine files to have write access to those files, and then it took a few minutes to kick in, so feel free to experiment. You may not need write access to all the files, but I turned them on, and you can access and do that very easily through the file manager. So if you were to go to the user share Cacti site and then the RRA, and then click on info here, pop up this nice window. You can set the group to www data and give it the write access, which sets the octal to 775. So you'll also want to do that in the sbin and then cacti, or sbin and then spine and spine conf, and I did the same exact thing there. www data with the write. And after that, we do have successful graphs, and you can take a look at those graphs. And at that point, you can start adding devices, start doing graphs, add additional import templates, and upload some additional things. And we'll be doing that in some additional videos another day, because it's getting end of day here and time to call it a night. So thanks for viewing. Have a good day.